Hello and welcome to Miss Valley Entertainment News. My name is Dread and we are here to entertain you. Warning! Before we go any further, I have a warning. This video may trigger people. Some people may watch this video and get very, very angry. I'm going to tell you, please do not yell at me. Please do not send me death threats. If you get triggered and are outraged by this video, please turn it off and go just do something else. I do not tell you that I am going to agree with 100% of what this person is saying in this video I'm reacting to. I am merely putting this out here because this is a look at someone's take on modern gaming that I think my viewers may find of interest. If you do, good for you. If you don't, like I say, move on. Don't blame the messenger. I'm just presenting this. I'll talk a little bit about my opinions on things. But for a great part of this, we're going to let the gentleman talk and give his opinion, and we're kind of going to react to a few things. But we're gonna play it a little careful here because I don't want to be getting blacklisted and have people taking down my channel because they don't like something I say or they think I say. So be careful, people, and use your brains. And if you get triggered, just move on. So we are going to get into this. This is by Endymion TV. This person's got 205,000 subscribers, so a lot of people follow them. I have not, to my knowledge, ever seen any of their videos before. This came across my YouTube feed, and I thought, this is interesting. I listened to most of this. I do find it interesting. It's an interesting take. So we're going to get into it. Again, this is a bit of a hot take. This is a bit of a thing that some people are going to agree with, some are not. This is a 2-week-old video as I record this. I think it's getting recorded on the 12th. Yeah, the 12th of January, 2024. It'll probably be a few days before it actually comes out after this. But we are going to get into this. This is a video called Mass Exodus as Fans Reject Woke Modern Gaming. Here we go. By the way, before I get into it any further, if you find it in your heart to enjoy the video and admit you enjoyed it, and you like the content, please consider subscribing to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, hit the little thumbs up button, color that on in with a like for me, and drop down the comments and give me your comments. Again, please be kind. Please understand, no matter what side of the aisle and the argument you're on, there are other people on the other side who don't deserve to get treated like crap. That's not what we're here for. I'm a peaceful person for the most part, okay? Even though I also have opinions, I don't like bashing on someone whose opinion may vary from mine. That's not what we're about here. This is about being respectful and having real conversations about things that are of interest, in this case, to gaming fans. So let's get into this. By the way, once again, the original video will be linked down below if you want to watch it in its entirety or bits and pieces of it or whatever after this. And leave a like and a subscribe for Endymion TV or whatever you desire. Or if you disagree with the video, maybe you're just going to want to pop into theirs and say, hey, I don't like your video. Or take it up with them. I don't know. It's their opinion, and we're just covering it. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? It's Endymion, and this year has been a great year for gaming mostly. But I have to admit that there have been blunders on all sides of the gaming marketplace.
Highs and lows in gaming this year. Highs and lows. The mid stuff, the stuff that just falls in the middle, that's just there and doesn't either hit the high or the low, seem to have kind of muted by just the vastness of the gulf between the highs and the lows, I think. But I think for the most part, it's been a good year in gaming for the most part. I think the lows and the people's reaction to the lows hopefully will eventually make changes in gaming. Hopefully, we'll see.
Of course, Starfield is the big Xbox release that has gotten itself back in the news. But I also have many bones to pick with PlayStation's first-party games as well. So in this video, I want to talk about the recent Starfield drama surrounding the game, as well as how PlayStation's inability to pull their own head out of their own ass. I'm swinging at everyone. I truly don't care at this point. But to begin, let's look at some very recent...
It's good to have an opinion.
Articles from a few places, starting with thegamer.com with theirs titled Starfield Steam Reviews Drop to Mostly Negative.
We know this.
This also gets backed up with another point stating only 37% of players on Steam find Starfield to be a positive experience. which, mind you, that's still a large amount of people. Recently, the game
I guess.
crossed well over 10 million players, and that's
Well, wait. Is that 37% of current Starfield players, like people still playing the game, or is that just overall? If that's overall, that's pretty terrible. Because at one time they had 330,000 people on Steam at one point. I mean, that was right after they came out, but people playing it. But if it was current players with like 8 or 9,000 current players on Steam, then no, it's not a lot of people. So it depends how you look at it. It just depends. It's probably overall numbers, though.
nothing to sneeze at. I think Starfield, for what it's worth, has been a win for Xbox players, mostly in the short term for now anyway.
For
But I'm
Xbox players,
positive,
sure.
Given a year or two, the game will likely get its No Man's Sky-esque redemption arc, and then it will become something truly special.
I'm not so sure, and I don't know if it's ever going to be that great for the PC players to rush back to it, especially with so many modders saying that the game is so broken and so bare bones that they can't fix it with mods either. Because let's face it, Bethesda's always relied on the mods to make their games passable. So we'll see. I can only speak for the PC players because I can't speak for console players because I'm not one. So
Even though I'm sick and tired of games releasing in weaker and unfinished states.
me too.
And mind you, this is not unique to Starfield.
Just call it
This is
early
an
access.
industry-wide cancer that I loathe with every fiber of my being. I find myself more often than not seeking out games that aren't 100 hours long anymore on purpose. I've sunk.
You know what's really interesting to me is after the Cyberpunk 2077 debacle, where that came out and that game just got wrecked for the publishers and the company pushing the game out, even when the game designers were like, we need a couple more years on this before it's ready. It's not ready, and they put it out anyways, right? That was an unfinished game, and that got lambasted. Now they corrected it eventually and got it working. But out of all that, people were like, well, no one's ever going to do this again. People have learned now you can't put out an unfinished game like Cyberpunk did. We kind of have a lot of people putting out unfinished or untested games nowadays, don't we? And back in the day, that was fine. If you called it early access, gave it a discounted price and had people play it in early access so you could get feedback on what to fix before it came out for its actual launch. But it seems like what we thought was going to happen after Cyberpunk 2077, what we thought would happen to the gaming industry, the exact opposite happened, didn't it? Because now we're getting more and more and more games come out that are not ready to be put out. They're just not ready. The developers are not learning. They've learned the exact opposite thing of what we expected. It's very interesting.
Sunk around 30 hours into Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora this month.
Never played it.
And honestly, I'm struggling to
Never seen any of the movies
play
either.
it. Its world
No
is
interest in
super
Avatar.
huge, and there's so much to do and find, but a lot of it is the same thing over and over, like most games these days. Whether it's Starfield, Avatar, hell, even Spider-Man 2, they've all disappointed gamers this year in myriads of ways. Spider-Man 2, also like Starfield, won absolutely nothing at the Game Awards, and I'm not mad about that one bit. I found games like Spider-Man 2 to be lesser in almost every way when compared to the original game. Its story was weak, its characters felt assassinated by identity politics, and outside of some standout moments that are over far too quickly, I was ultimately left disappointed by Sony's big fall release. And then
Now, obviously, this is a PlayStation game. I have never played Spider-Man 2, so I don't have many comments on it. I'm learning a little bit as I'm watching this, although I admit I'm learning from Endymion TV's opinion, but still.
there's the problem that too many games these days feel too safe, which I think we can all agree that Starfield, Spider-Man, Avatar, and more, they all fall into the same category.
From everything I've seen about Starfield, I would agree it's a very, very safe, generic, bland game. Yes. That doesn't mean you cannot buy the game, play the game, and have fun in the game for many, many hundreds of hours, because people do. People do. That's fine. But I don't think that changes the fact that overwhelmingly people would say it's a bland and safe and boring game. And not completely finished, certainly not well fleshed out.
I mean, it was recently reported that Spider-Man 2 cost Sony around $300 million to make.
That's
But
a
this
movie
number
cost.
just left so many players
That's nuts.
confused as to where that money went exactly. Outside of Peter's symbiotic powers or the new mechanic of gliding, The game basically just added another island of Manhattan, which is nice, sure, but the game doesn't really let you interact with the game world in any meaningful way. It's mostly just window dressing. Then you have Starfield, which touts space exploration, but generally most people who play it will just fast travel in these small cutscenes to these procedurally generated planets.
Yeah.
And Avatar is just stupidly big, and you could probably fit 50 Spider-Man 2's New Yorks into Ubisoft's Pandora. But that doesn't make the game good either.
Looks
We're living
cool,
at a time where so many games...
I say look cool, I mean, the graphics look good, but I mean, it doesn't make you want to play the game. I mean, Avatar came out, everybody's rushed to the theater to see it, the first one, and I was like, blue people, okay. I don't get it. I still to this day don't get it. I know people who swear, no, I thought it was going to be terrible too, and I went and saw these movies, and they were so great. I'm like, they don't interest me. There's nothing I've heard of about Avatar or any of its sequels or the video game that interests me in the slightest. Everybody's different, people. I like B movies. I like gross out comedies. I like stupid teen movies. You know, I like mass action movies. You know, just wall to wall action with terrible acting. I like B movies. I like foreign movies. I watch a lot of foreign movies. Not like a 50% more, but I do watch a fair number of foreign movies. I'll watch subtitles. I don't care. I'm a little different, I guess. I don't rush to the Hollywood blockbusters. Certainly don't rush to see them at theater. If I figure I like them, I'll see them eventually. Sometimes it takes me many years to see them, though.
These days are too safe, big, and pointless. And like I said, most of my favorite games this year were smaller, more focused experiences. I think Liza P, for example, shits all over everything.
Heard good things about that game
in this video. I thought Liza P was amazing. It had stellar combat, a cool setting and theme, great music, and amazing customization and replay value. And that's another problem with not only Starfield or Spider-Man, but pretty much every AAA game these days. None of them really give you an incentive to replay them because they're far too big. Sure, Starfield resets at the end without going into spoilers, and then you can make new choices, but when these games are this big, do you even want to do that? Then, of course, there was Starfield's design director, whose name is, and I'll butcher this, Emil Pagliarulo.
Yeah.
He flat out states that fans don't know what they're talking about when it comes to talking about video games, but I disagree. I don't think you need to know every single intricate detail in order to have an opinion on.
It's a typical Twitter argument is what I call it. Arguing in circles about stupid things, you're just, let's just sell people and say they don't know anything to try to get them to shut up so that their opinion doesn't matter. I am not on social media, period. I mean, I do have a Miss Valley Arts and Entertainment Facebook page, but I haven't even looked at it in a year. I haven't updated it at all. It's basically toast already. All my own Facebook pages and everything else are gone. I think I was on Twitter once years ago for like 2 months and got out of it. Got tired of posting pictures of my meals. Like, who the hell cares? All the crap, all the people I was following that I didn't really want to know anything about what they were posting. I think social media, I think your TikTok, your Twitter, your Facebook, all this stuff is just, man, garbage in, garbage out. You take in all that garbage and it's just, you're making your life trash is what I think. I think people get way too involved in it. And the other thing about Twitter is, why the hell would you want to be on Twitter, or X as it's now called, I guess? Sorry, Elon. Why would you want to be on there when you know, like, it's estimated like 30% of the accounts on there are bot accounts? So it's one person sitting somewhere creating hundreds, possibly thousands, could be thousands of bots. They post some radical opinion, and then they have all their bots go there and like and share it to make it look like it's actually trending and something's happening. Or they go attack someone's opinion they don't like, and then they have all the other bots flood there and do the same thing to make it look like this person's, totally bad. Everybody's against them. And it's all bots, dude. It's all fake. It's completely, utterly fake, and I don't know why people waste their time with it. That's my rant. Moving on.
Something. I believe if you support and pay the amount required to experience something, you're absolutely entitled to your own opinion.
Yep.
If you go to a restaurant and you pay what's required and the food sucks, you're allowed to say, hey, this food sucks and isn't worth what I paid. If the chef suddenly bursts out of the kitchen to yell in your face and tells you you're wrong, It wouldn't do anything but ensure you or any customer in that building would ever want to support that restaurant again. And I feel these game developers are in a similar boat. Sure, games are complicated. Yes, they take a long time to make.
Yep.
But it's like any other product that you buy. It's not the consumer's job to know everything that goes into making the thing they buy.
Of course
And
not.
it doesn't invalidate their opinion on things either. I'm sure Spider-Man 2 was a mammoth task to make. I'm sure it was lots of hours of work to make Venom's skin look as cool as it does. But none of
Sure.
that matters when its story sucks. It ruins Peter's character arc and makes Mary Jane look like the kid from Mask.
Whoa, 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 whoa. First time I watched this, I had no idea until this part this was Mary Jane. And as soon as they zoomed in, I'm like, oh man, she is super plain looking. She's got no hips to talk about. She's got almost no chest. It's like she's got one lazy cross-eyed or something. She's just very, very plain. Her hair is flat and kind of like when I look at this, they tried to make her as nondescript and I don't want to say ugly, but definitely went away from making her pretty at all on purpose. And I question why they would do that. Because to me, unless you're trying to make her appeal to lesbians who don't care about women's looks as much, a lot of them, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, as a heterosexual male, heterosexual males are attracted to women. They're attracted to beautiful women. They're attracted to shapely women. And now we all like different, styles of bodies and different shapes of faces, ethnicities, eye color, hair color, fashion styles, everything else. But it goes without saying that heterosexual males, and I think heterosexual males are probably still the main buyers of video games. I would almost guarantee that. Like beautiful women in their games. I don't know if this is based on someone in real life, so I'll try not to insult the actual person. But this is not someone you'd expect to see in a video game. To think that Peter Parker's in love with this girl, that could very well be. But you would also think a Mary Jane would be trying a little bit harder with maybe some makeup and doing her hair and wearing some non-frumpy clothes to maybe look a little bit more beautiful. Women tend to do that. They do because they know men like that. That's kind of why this, to me, is smacks of a woke anti-male thing. We're not going to give men beautiful women because we don't like men. That's kind of what this says to me. I don't know. You may find this different than I. That's kind of my opinion, though, upon seeing this. If I know that the main woman in a story is not good looking, and I'm going to be looking at her a lot, I'm probably not going to buy the game. Let's just be honest. I'm not. Do I require her to have triple D boobs and big shapely hips and wear clothes like a stripper? No, I don't. But I'm just saying, based on this, I wouldn't want to buy the game. And that's just me, but that's my opinion.
Character arc and makes Mary Jane look like the kid from Mask. I don't know the ins and outs of what went into Spider-Man 2's creation, but I did pay $90 Canadian for it and I played the whole game to completion. And I don't think it was a very good game, all things considered. It doesn't invalidate my opinion any more than the next guy either. We're all entitled to our own thoughts. Starfield is in that same camp, and when your design director lashes out like this, all that'll do is expose the tensions and problems of the product at hand even more. Sure, Starfield took years to make, but this is video games. If your game doesn't reach the quality bar players expect, the rest falls to the wayside. Starfield's design director then decided to double down on his take on Twitter, so let's read what he had to say, shall we? Emil said, and I quote, "Funny how disconnected some players are from the realities of game development, and yet they speak with complete authority. I mean, I can guess what it takes to make a Hostess Twinkie, but I don't work in the factory, so what the hell do I really know? Not a lot. Part of me really gets it. When
Hostess Twinkie is a really bad analogy for buying a video game It's a really bad analogy for buying a video game, let's say for $100. I don't know, whatever it costs. Let's just say $100. Spending $100 on a video game, being told that you're going to play it for hundreds of hours, that that, hey, if you're not enjoying it, keep playing, because after 100, 200 hours or whatever, it gets really good. And then when you finish the game and then restart the game, get the new game plus, then it really gets good. Also, if you have any opinions other than the game is the greatest thing ever, you're wrong, and we're going to tell you you're an idiot and you're wrong. How does that compare to buying a Hostess Twinkie for I'm going to guess $2 and consuming it in like 15 seconds? One of these things you're expecting based on what the developers are telling you, that it's going to be the greatest thing ever and you're going to play it for hundreds and hundreds of hours. Maybe for your entire lifetime you will play this game because it's so interesting. The other is a $2 Twinkie that you eat in 15 seconds. If you didn't like the Twinkie, bring it back to the store you bought it from and complain. You'd be like, hey, the Twinkie was bad. I just want you to know that. Maybe you'll get your $2 back. But on the other hand, there's no comparison. It's a terrible, terrible fucking comparison.
You're a consumer and spend money on things, that gives you the right to complain about those things. I spend a lot of money on games every year, and sometimes it takes a lot of me to not scream into the internet's collective consciousness. I don't complain about games on social media for two main reasons. I know how hard it is to make games and have too much respect for my fellow devs.
You don't have any respect for the fans, though, because you go on here and complain about the fans of video games, at least when they don't like yours. So that I don't complain about video games is kind of BS. It's kind of trying to shame people into shutting up. Look, I'm better than you because I make these games and I don't go on here and complain about games. How dare you? Anywho, stupid ass thing to say.
Be uncool and unprofessional for me to do so, but sometimes I want to. But throughout that time, I actually had no inkling what game development was actually like. How hard the designers, programmers, artists, producers, and everyone else worked. The struggle to bring a vision to life with constantly shifting resources, the stress. This isn't me complaining about my job. I've experienced all these things and will again. It's the nature of AAA game development. But I also have a great position and am still gainfully employed after 21 plus
Working
years.
hard doesn't mean you shouldn't be
Considering
criticized.
the thousands of layoffs this year. I'm not trying to change anyone's mind because the internet, but given my position, I can't not share the truth. And that truth is, nobody sets out to make a bad game, and most game devs are incredibly talented, even if the game they release
The day before, case closed. People do set out to make bad games. Sorry.
isn't up to par. Chances are, unless you've made a game yourself, you don't know who made certain decisions. Who did specific work, how many people were actually available to do that work, any time challenges faced, or how often you had to overcome technology itself.
You had 8 years, Emil.
So yes,
8
love
years.
games, buy them, play them, and complain to your heart's content. It's sort of the nature of the developer-player transactional relationship. But just know that the game you're playing is in some ways a freaking miracle in and of itself. Normal people have come together to work for years for one goal, to bring you fun and happiness. So if it helps to remember that and them, end quote. This is all dandy, and Emil essentially tries to reach a common ground in the end to basically make it seem like players need to be more understanding. But I think that falls flat for a few reasons. The truth is that modern gaming is full of misfires, unfinished games, and loads of nonsense, whether it's microtransactions or activist writers injecting politics, which never makes the product better. Just look at Spider-Man or games that are more cutscene than video game, like Alan Wake 2, which I absolutely hated, and I 100%ed that game.
Now, this is interesting. I did not heard this. I've heard nothing about Alan Wake 2 except for what an amazing game it is and how it should have won more awards. I have definitely not heard this opinion on Alan Wake before, and I found it interesting. It's very different than what I've heard. The narrative that's been pushed and what Endymion TV's thoughts about Alan Wake 2 are very different, and I find it interesting. Let's get into that.
Look at Spider-Man or games that are more cutscene than video game like Alan Wake 2, which I absolutely hated, and I 100%ed that game hoping that it would get better, and it never
Or
did.
cutscenes in
Gaming
video
these
game.
days is mostly just nonsense, pandering, and stupid shit
know
that are
that.
causing players to walk away and go enjoy things like Japanese media more every day. The AAA gaming
True.
landscape is a hellhole, and there's far too many examples of games this year alone releasing busted, unfinished, or both. Yet all of these games with their varying levels of quality ultimately still require the player, the paying customer, to pay full price in order to experience them. And sure, we can sit here and sing Kumbaya and hug devs and kiss their foreheads for making these games that are so hard, but here's the thing. If your games are coming out running like shit, for example, Jedi Survivor, which was borderline unplayable
Forgot about that
at least
one.
for many,
Yeah.
or injects themselves with woke nonsense like Spider-Man, or just feels like a rehash of what a studio has made before but is worse like Starfield, and you also expect your players to pay you the amount you desire to play it, there's a problem here. Why are we paying these studios and developers the full amount for games that aren't the full experience, at launch anyway at least?
That's true.
This is why the game industry got pissed and salty when Baldur's Gate 3 came out. Because they were mad saying, oh, this is a once-in-a-generation kind of game, but it isn't. The reality is that the game industry, especially the Western side of it, have collectively worked to ensure all games meet a certain bar of quality in order to be deemed purchasable. And the truth is that most games that get released are running like gravy shit. And don't forget when Bungie had their whole don't over-deliver speech. And we already know that the industry is one giant echo chamber already, because the entire industry ignored Hogwarts Legacy when it came to awards season because of J.K. Rowling's politics.
That's interesting take too. Something I had forgotten about. I know Hogwarts Legacy got, I think, nominated for something in the Game Awards, I believe, but didn't win. I don't think it got nominated for any, or didn't get any wins, I don't believe, in the Steam Awards either. Not that those are all that important. But yeah, it's interesting because the people who I've heard from who have played this game say it's fucking amazing. And if this game were priced lower, I would buy it. It's just too expensive for me right now. But an amazing game, yet it doesn't win any awards. And are they wrong that it's not, a lot of that is not based around the politics of J.K. Rowling? And is that fair to the game?
Even though, in my opinion, Hogwarts Legacy shits all over pretty much most of the AAA releases this year in quality, polish, and breadth of content. And it sold more than any other game too. It even beat out Call of Duty this year, if you can believe it. But oops, the politics of the person whose work this game is based on makes our tummies hurt. And we all have to parry the same bullshit, so naturally, sorry Hogwarts Legacy, but no awards for you.
Yeah, that's
Instead,
not necessarily
we're gonna
right.
shower walking simulator cutscene messes like Alan Wake 2 with awards.
Wow, what did he just say? What did he just call it?
Same bullshit, so naturally, sorry Hogwarts Legacy, but no awards for you. Instead, we're gonna shower walking simulator cutscene messes like Alan Wake 2 with
Walking simulator cutscene messes. How is that a... If that's what the game is, if it's a walking simulator with a lot of cutscenes, cinematic type cutscenes and things, how is that a good game? How did that even get in the discussion for Game of the Year? Is this let me know what you think. Is this a case of people who are pushing like from the industry pushing a narrative of this game being great and then ignoring games maybe the fans actually like Hogwarts Legacy? Interesting subject for discussion.
With awards instead, which by the way, as of the making of this video, Alan Wake 2 is a commercial failure and hasn't recouped its costs even remotely.
Now that's something you never hear about. May not have sold all too well. It didn't even recoup what it cost to make it. Huh. Nobody talks about that. That's interesting. That is very interesting. So it's a failure amongst as far as sales. Huh. Very interesting. Very interesting. I just find that interesting.
but it pushes the agenda and race swaps characters and aligns itself with woke PR firms. So it gets the pass when it comes to award seasons, and it's just so stupid. Give me a break.
Interesting.
The absolute state of the modern gaming industry
What do you
is
think about
cooked
that?
in almost every conceivable way. You can't expect players to pay full price when all you keep giving them is remixed, half-assed, barely working games most of the time at best. Stuff like Baldur's Gate 3 shits all over Starfield, Spider-Man, and pretty much everything else this year. I'm tired of this industry throwing whataboutisms and excuses down players' throats and trying to paint themselves as victims. And I'm sure going forward into 2024, we'll have even more busted games being released.
Yeah.
You can bet your sweet little butt cheeks, dear viewer, you'll be expected to meet these games with your wallets open and ready.
Yep.
Even if the things you're paying for don't work 60% of the time.
You'll be ridiculed if you don't, and told that you're wrong. You just don't understand the gaming industry, and listen to the game reviewers, who apparently are bought off by the gaming companies, I would say.
Best. I would honestly prefer
A lot of times.
the industry mostly just scale themselves back. Stop making games the size of Australia and focus more on quality over quantity. You could fit 1,000, if not more, Baldur's Gate's worlds into something like Avatar, but it doesn't mean Avatar is more impressive. Wow, you can fly for hours in between planets in Starfield as you stare at nothing. It's so immersive. I'd rather kill puppets in Liza P and do cool shit with my Robo Sekiro arm instead. And Spider-Man 2 is like the epitome of disappointment for someone like me. Because I loved the first game. I thought that version of Peter Parker in Insomniac's 2018 game to be the definitive modern version of the character.
So, Spider-Man
fan threw it in the trash in order to prop up Miles Morales for a third game where the main.
So, a fan of the first one, but not a fan of this one. That's interesting. So he's not just like, I don't care about this franchise. Interesting.
Main villains have absolutely no personal connection to Miles in any way. Oh boy, I can't wait to see how Green Goblin and Doc Ock feel when they fight Miles Morales of all people. The Spider-Man who has no connections in any way to either of them. I am just exploding with excitement, can't you tell?
Also, I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing Miles Morales probably follows basically what he was in the comic book, which I always found weird that he was like a 14-year-old boy. Like, that seems pretty young to be going out and fighting evil as a superhero, doesn't it? I mean, maybe there's been, more than just him who've done it at that age or even younger. But I just found it very strange that he was only 14. If they had called him, said he was 16 or 17, I wouldn't have had as much problems. But 14, I think, is kind of dumb. It just feels really forced for some reason when you're 14. I mean, unless you're fighting other teenagers, but you're fighting adults. Like, great, I know he's got superpowers, but he's fighting adults. I don't know. 14 years old, he's probably got zero muscle mass. It's very strange to me. I didn't understand why they did the comics, and I'm pretty sure they follow that in the movie or in the video game as well. I'm just gonna put that in there. I never understood that.
Bloody hell, dude. We're living in a time where you can't escape politics.
I mean, Peter Parker was like 17, I think, when he started.
I believe personally that all of these games, whether they're Xbox exclusive, PlayStation only, or whatever the hell in between, who gives a shit, dude? I don't care what side of the gaming stupid drinking party aisle you're in. We're all getting collectively cucked by these studios and publishers anyway.
Yep.
This isn't a battle of Xbox versus PlayStation. This is a battle of the player and the monolithic ideological mammoth that is the modern games industry today.
Well put. That was well put. Thank you, sir.
Every day we see new stupid shit emerging from this industry's ass, and whenever players reject it, these game journos immediately rush to their computers in their apartment that they share with 6 other game journos to white knight for these companies that don't care about them in the slightest.
I wonder if some of these journalists who support the woke agenda so much, and I'm just wondering, I don't know, but I'm wondering if perhaps some of them are more like the bots on Twitter. Do these people actually even exist in the form of what they are? Do they work from home? Has no one ever seen them? Are they actually who they seem to be? Or did you just hire an activist who works through basically a bot and a fake account and a fake picture? I don't know the answer to it. I'm just throwing that out there. I wonder sometimes.
hoping that maybe if they pander hard enough to Xbox or PlayStation, they'll get sent a free beanie hat and a bookmark so that they can take a selfie with it and post it on Twitter saying,
Oh, it's like that guy that I did the video on for Starfield with the Starfield hat and the Starfield jacket and shirt and all the Starfield stuff, and he had a Starfield channel, and you were amazed when he supported Starfield. Well done.
"Oh, thank you, Modern Gaming Company. You see, everybody, I'm one of the good ones. This entire industry is rotting from the inside out, and you're a moron if you think things are going to get better unless you call it out and talk about it. I already know places like IGN hate me anyway. After all, they discredited me back in August, and they put my name in the description, and then they just took it out a day later. Probably because someone at IGN read my name and went, 'Oh, Indimi on TV. Oh, my tummy hurts. Oh, his politics. Please remove it.' Or I'll start crying, and if you don't, I'll use one of my made-up personalities in my head that I came up with when I self-diagnosed myself on TikTok, and in order to deal with my crippling depression, I convinced myself I have multiple personalities
Not going to comment.
instead of going to therapy. Just shut up. This industry is full of rot and needs to be purged. And instead of talking about the things that need to be changed, they'll instead put some lipstick on the pig and do stuff like bring out Timothy Shamalama Ding Dong on stage to announce Game of the Year, while refusing to acknowledge that their moronic decisions led to over 7,000 game developers getting laid off. Which, by the way, that's around 16 full Larian Studios worth of employees getting laid off this year alone in the games industry. But don't look at that.
But hey, they want to use AI to make their games and just kind of make really easy formulaic games that really get fleshed out later on years down the road, and just keep pumping these games out and telling you to buy them and purchase them and everything else, and shoving a few woke things in and giving them massive awards for being the most innovative game ever. All that stuff. So they don't need more employees. They actually can deal with a lot less employees, right? Gaming industry is truly fucked. It truly is. Truly is.
Just consume the content, eat the sludge, and drink the gravy, dear viewer.
Kiss the pig with a lipstick.
Expect more. What? Starfield didn't meet your expectations? Shut up. You don't even know how games are made anyway. What do you know about procedural generation? What, you don't want to play as a boring deaf girl in a game called Spider-Man 2? What are you, a bigot? Do you just hate deaf people? Tell me where you work so I can get you fired for not agreeing with my moronic opinions. Just eat the sludge, never over-deliver, push microtransactions, release broken games, and keep putting enough chicks in it and making it gay and lame until you hit your DEI quotas so the Game Awards doesn't blacklist you from the next year's Out of Touch Awards show, where only 18% of the entire ceremony is dedicated to awards.
Yeah, it was all about advertisers, because that should tell you gaming is all about making money. Including the Game Awards. They don't care about giving out the fucking awards. They just want to make money off the advertisers. That's all they care about.
And the rest of it is a glorified commercial where Out of Touch celebrities announce new products and trailers. This entire industry is in need of a change, and if a gaming crash is coming, I say let it happen. Budgets are already insanely out of whack, stories keep getting worse for the most part, and half of the time these stupid games don't even work anyway. But don't worry, guys, we know Starfield doesn't have land vehicles yet. Just wait 2 more years, and then you'll have the game that we advertise to you to be available for purchase. This industry is a mess, and this might be one of my most cynical videos of the year. But by God, tell me if I'm wrong, because I wager many of you feel exactly the same as I do. Whether you're an Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega, Genesis, whatever the hell, fanboy, fangirl, they, them, z, zer, can we all agree that this shit stinks and needs to change? Because if the industry keeps going like this and the empty promises, unfinished games, and developers keep complaining and postmortems keep happening, I will become the Joker in 2024. And I know you just want to enjoy video games without being talked down to while having politics being shoved in your face 24/7. You just want your time, dedication, and money to be respected. And
I have no issues personally with representation in video games. What I have an issue with is over representation. So if you're going to represent, then maybe you're being like, hey, this percentage of people, as for instance, this percentage of people in the world are estimated to be gay or lesbian. So we're going to put that percentage of gay or lesbian people into our game. I don't have a problem with that because that's showing reality. Although your game doesn't have to be reality, that I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But if for instance you were to say, let's just say pick a number because I don't know what the numbers are. Let's say 2% of people in the world are gay or lesbian, and you decide to, have 75% of the main characters in your game be gay or lesbian, then I'm like, I guess you're making a game just for the gay and lesbian community then, because you've now overrepresentation. You've got overrepresentation. That's kind of my issue with these things, is when things are pushed too hard. Or, like if you're like, well, we need more black people in our game, we need more women in our game, we need more ugly women in our game. Yeah, I don't know, whatever it may be. We need more women who are flat chested, more women who look like men, and more men who look like women, because we're trying to show the representations. But if you're doing that and you're saying like, hey, what you look at it later and you're like, well, you put all these different representations in, and all you've got are kind of no offense, the fringe representations, the smaller amount of people that you've just crammed into the game, and now you're not representing the larger amount of people. Maybe, not saying there's not like a lot of black people in the world, for instance. I'm just speaking off the cuff here. Or if you suddenly got a game like Starfield, where I've heard, it's just what I've heard because I haven't played it, that like nobody basically in any position of power is white, and there's very few white people in the game. And then I'm like, okay, you're showing kind of like a future where white people don't have any power, and there aren't many white people, or at least not many white people in power. So are you trying to give a narrative saying white people are bad by that? Like, I mean, those are the kind of creative decisions that I have issues with. Not proper representation of things, that's okay. But when you overrepresent, or you purposely bash one section of society, or try to remove that section of society from the game, or remove things they like good-looking women, then I do have issues. Yeah, because then you're doing something else. You're not just trying to represent. You're trying to push some sort of narrative that I don't even really fucking understand. And then I don't like it, because now you're trying to preach to me and tell me I'm bad because I'm a straight white male, which to me is racist, sexist, and everything else of an opinion. But anyways, so I don't have a problem with representation. I just want to throw that out there.
I understand. And that doesn't make you toxic or a bad person. That just means you have common sense in a world far removed from the concept these days. But anyway, I think I'm done for now. I'm hungry. I need to eat. Maybe this whole video is just a byproduct of the fact that I'm hungry, but whatever. If you enjoyed this video...
So once again, the original video will be linked down below. Thank you all so much for watching this. Again, if you got triggered by this and you're angry, don't be angry at me unless you want to be angry just at my opinions that I gave here and there. If you want to be angry at Endymion TV, then go to the original video. Discuss that with them if that's the way you have to get over your anger. Don't drop in and yell at me to the comments of my video and try to cancel me and give me death threats and that kind of shit, because A, it doesn't work, and B, that just shows you're a lousy human being. Be bigger than that. We're not all here to fight, okay? We're just here to express our opinions and allow our opinions and everyone else's to be heard. There's no exclusion here. Yeah. So by the way, just once again telling everybody, the opinions expressed by Endymion TV are not necessarily my opinions. We are just covering this video and reacting to it. But this was a mass exodus as fans reject woke monitored gaming. I found it to be an interesting video. I think it's open for discussion. Again, please be kind to others when you get into the comments below. And for Miss Valley Entertainment News, my name is Drake. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.